Welcome to Ty and Rye, the Finance Guys Market Mini Report, a short podcast that updates you on the past week's important topics and trends. Remember, this is not an offer to sell, and past performance does not guarantee future returns. Here are Ty Hansen and Ryan Robertson. All right, here we go. Very first time, everybody. Welcome out. Our very first Market Mini. This is for the week of June 7th. And we're going to spend a few minutes going over what's been going on the last little bit. Ty, how are you?
I'm doing well, bud. I'm excited for this. A quick little snippet of what's going on in the markets. So hopefully we can keep me to 5 minutes or less because I don't know.
That is the goal.
That is the goal.
And the standard. And we will hold you to that, Ty. I know you got a lot of things to go over, so let's get started. What is first on your list?
Rock and roll.
To tell us about it all.
All right, just want to touch base. What's going on? What are we seeing in different parts of the market? So this last week, the main area of the market that's kind of gotten its butt kicked is tech, right? NASDAQ's down. Technology's still taking a little bit of a beating. I think that's attributed to some of the fears in the marketplace, right? That's where we had a lot of return last year, and we're not seeing it right now. S&P's down, but that's because it has so much weighting. It's so much of the weighting comes from tech, right? But
25% of it.
Yeah, exactly. S&P 500 right now is really tech. It's really tech. But here's the thing. Also, bonds are getting beat up, right? So the bond side of the market, the aggregate bond index is down. Not a lot. Keep in mind, all these things aren't down, too aggressively. But so small cap, right? So smaller capitalized, like smaller companies, relatively speaking. I mean, that small cap goes up actually to $2 billion. That's still a pretty big company. Yeah. Small cap's doing well, and Dow Jones is doing well. So, like, kind of old school value, right? I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. What's really interesting, this is like, and I've got an analogy here in just a second I want to get to. So the economic data is actually still pretty good. Like, I know there's a ton of fear in the markets, but economic data is strong. Like, so a lot of the job data came out. More and more we see little snippets of job reports. New jobs created, things like that. They're all doing well. We've had more jobs created this last month than we ever have since COVID. So jobless claims are down, more employment, good economic output. In fact, there's it's called the Beige Report from the Fed. It talks about economic expansion, things like that. We're expanding. We're not expanding as aggressively as we'd like, but our economy is growing. And I'm going to come back around in a second. We're going to talk about what I'm going to call inflation-ageddon.
Oh, boy.
Inflation-ageddon.
This is your analogy?
That's not the analogy, but it's a term. I want to coin this term. Okay, so here's the analogy, though. So it's funny what we're seeing in the markets. And I'll equate it to, so Ryan and I went and saw a Jazz basketball game last night. Jazz beat out the Memphis Grizzlies. They won the series. Awesome, super fun. And we were talking about it. We're like,
our voices still.
Yeah, our voices are low. Why are people like? So there's been a ton of crazy fan incidences at games, right? People running on the court, racial slurs, throwing. Why are people? It's like, and I think that we talked about this. Like, there's some element of people are coming back. Like, we have freedoms again. And we're doing crazy things. We're like, whoa. Same thing on the investing world. It's like, look at cryptos. Right now, what we call meme stocks, like what was GameStop, AMC, people are making weird, crazy investments. And I think it's just kind of like, we're back in the saddle again. We're excited. Who gives a crap? Let's go crazy here. And people are doing crazy. So it's like, we're seeing it in basketball with fans being crazy, and we're seeing it in the markets with investors being crazy. So long and short, don't be crazy. Settle down. And okay.
Seriously.
And I think a big part of where people are like, oh crap, let's just kind of go crazy and go buy things is people are a little afraid of where to go invest their monies. And again, it's because of this inflation again.
Yeah.
And I've told this to a lot of our clients that my biggest fear this year is inflation, right? Because we've printed a ton of money, rates have to go up, so we're all afraid of inflation. So that's kind of where there's this idea of
it's a big deal.
Yeah, it's like people are like, the markets are going to implode. Here's the deal. Our economic output is still good. As long as the economic output is still good, we're seeing more value growth, right? So the value side of the market, the Dow Jones, the building materials, industrials, guess what? The strongest market sector this last month, real estate and building materials, right? Value, things that have value, not speculation. Yeah. So settle down, people. Stop running onto the court. Stick to true investing principles and we'll be just fine. So
stay in your seat. Just cheer.
All right. That's it. That's the market. 5 minutes. Still strength.
Those are your
four. That's it, dude. I did it. I did it.
Oh, you already did your analogy.
Basketball's the analogy. We're done. That's it.
Oh, great analogy.
All right, we're out.
Fits right in with what we did. Hey, thanks, Ty. We'll see everybody. Hey, coming up this end of this week, another podcast.
Check us out.
Hey, stick to it. Follow us. Thanks,
Ty.
Bud. Thanks for listening to Ty and Rai, the Finance Guys. This is our weekly market mini report. New episodes of this will be put out every Monday, so make sure you don't miss those. Also, the longer podcasts, more in-depth discussions, those will drop every Saturday. So subscribe on your favorite podcast platform or follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube at Ty and Rai Podcast. That way you don't miss any new episodes. Thanks for listening, everybody. Hope you have a great week.